Hey everyone, welcome to Abundant Life Church's very first online service experience. My name is Aubrey Moss, and we are so grateful that you took the time out of this busy holiday season to join us from your home, your car, coffee shop, wherever you might be streaming this from. We'd like to invite you to participate as though we are live in the room with you. We're going to be singing songs together. We're going to hear some amazing messages from our Happy Valley, Vancouver, and Sandy campus pastors. They're going to be sharing all about how the gospel has been made good news at ALC this past year. And if this is your first time joining us, I want to give you an extra warm welcome. We are one church with 3 locations, all about giving ourselves to make the gospel good news for others. If you'd like to learn more about us, get connected, or have a prayer request, please click on the link above and fill out one of our connection cards. We would love to get to know you better and to be praying for you. Well, thank you again so much for joining us. We hope you enjoy this service.
Chain, oh God, you have done great things. We dance your freedom, awake and alive. Oh Jesus, our Savior, your name lifted high, oh God, you have done great things. Storm, and you'll be faithful forevermore. You have done great things, and I know you will do it again. For your promise is yes and amen. You will do great things, Lord God, you do great things. No hero of heaven, you conquered the grave. You free every captive and break every chain, oh God. You have done great things. We dance your freedom, awake and alive. Oh Jesus, our Savior, your name lifted high, oh God. You have done great things. Above it all, hallelujah, God, unshakable, hallelujah, you have done great things, you've done great things, and hallelujah, God, above it all, hallelujah, God, unshakable. Done great things, you've done great things. No hero of heaven, you conquered the grave. You free every captive and break every chain, oh God. You have done great things. We dance your freedom, awake and alive. Oh Jesus, our Savior, your name lifted high. Done great things.
Well, good morning. My name is Aaron Walton, and I'm the Happy Valley campus pastor at Abundant Life Church. For those of you that don't know, Abundant Life Church is one church at 3 different locations. We have a campus in Sandy, in Happy Valley, Oregon, and also in Vancouver, Washington. And I am so excited because you get the chance today to hear from your 3 campus pastors as we are going to share some stories of where we've seen the mission statement of our church, giving ourselves to make the gospel good news for others, lived out in our community in this last year. See, this mission statement is the heartbeat of Abundant Life, and we sincerely want all of our ministries and every one of our family members to reflect this same posture that we've seen in the life of Jesus Christ. Now, before we get to the stories, I want to share with you just a quick passage of scripture to get us going on this morning from 2 Corinthians 8, verses 7 through 9. But since you excel in everything, in faith, in speech, in knowledge, in complete earnest, and in love, we have kindled in you. See that you also excel in this grace of giving. I am not commanding you, but I want to test the sincerity of your love by comparing it with the earnestness of others. For you know the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, that though he was rich, yet for your sake he became poor, so that through his poverty might become rich. See, Jesus was the ultimate example of self-giving love, not only by the fact that he came down to earth as a human, which was an act of sacrifice in and of itself, but also by laying his life down on the cross and forgiving us for our sins. And through that forgiveness, reconciling us back to the Father of the God of the universe so that we may have a relationship with the living God. See, this is our heartbeat. This is what we want to see happen in the life of our church at Abundant Life. We believe that it is only through giving, through sacrificing, through generosity, and through relinquishing of power that others will hear and experience the good news of Jesus Christ and have their lives transformed forever. So I got a couple stories I want to share with you. The first one is we have a couple groups of ladies that meet at the Happy Valley campus that every single week they get together and they knit and they crochet. Now, on the outside, this might just look like a social club, just ladies getting together to do a common activity, talking about life. But if you were to ask these ladies why they are knitting and crocheting, you'll find out that they are making blankets. And not only are they making blankets, but they take these blankets and they donate them to the NICU ward at Kaiser Sunnyside Hospital just down the road from the church. Over the last 6 years, they have made over 1,000 blankets that they have donated to the community and to families that are walking through difficult and just horrifically hard times. See, church, how cool is it that by them giving themselves, by sacrificing just a couple hours of the week, that not only has our community heard the good news through what they have done, but they've also felt it. Another quick story. Last August, we spent a couple hours on a Saturday morning coming alongside Powell Butte Elementary School and just doing what we can to prepare them for the school year. So we dedicated 3 hours on a Saturday morning just to do whatever we can to help serve this school. We cut grass, we trimmed trees and branches, we picked up trash, we painted hallways, we painted the playground structure, we washed windows, we dug up sod, we laid down a garden box, all so that we could love and show this school the good news of Jesus Christ. But the best part was at the end, we got to have a lunch with all the people that showed up from the school, from the community, and from our church. And the reason why we did this is because these are the kind of things that we believe Jesus would be doing if he was walking on earth today, coming alongside a local elementary school and just giving of a couple hours to serve them. Last story I want to share with you. We have a church family member. His name is Russ, and he has an incredible testimony of how he found God when he was incarcerated in prison when he was a young man. Now, if you ask Russ his story, he'll tell you that most of his life, he didn't want anything to do with God. He thought God was this lofty, far-off being that had nothing to do and didn't care about him at all. And not till he got to prison and not till Jesus found him in prison did he realize that God had been pursuing him his entire life. Fast forward a little bit, he gets out of prison, he's committed his life to Jesus Christ, and he makes the decision, how can I give of my life to continually point people towards Jesus Christ? So he makes the decision he's going to start serving in the local prison. He's going to start serving in the local jails. And so he just starts showing up every single week, asking if there's somebody that he can talk to. He eventually becomes a chaplain, and every single week for the last over 20 years, he has just gone to make connections and connect with people at these prisons. So he met this young man named Andrew this last January, and they just hit it off from the start. And they developed this pretty cool relationship where Russ is encouraging him, talking with him about God, and continually pointing him to Jesus Christ. And let me show you a really cool picture of Russ and Andrew from this last October. You see, giving ourselves to make the gospel good news for others can look a lot of different ways. Sometimes it's knitting and crocheting blankets for families in our community. Sometimes it's giving up a couple hours of just doing some hard work at a school. And sometimes it's simply just building a relationship with someone, allowing your story, our story, the journey we've been on, the mistakes we've made, and allowing God's grace and truth to be reflected through that as we connect with somebody else walking through a difficult time. So let me ask you a question. How is God calling you to give of yourself this year? What ways can He use your gifts, your skills, your abilities, your story, and use it to show the gospel is good news to others?
Song we could ever sing, worthy of all the praise we could ever bring, worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Jesus, the name above every other name. Jesus, the only one who could ever save, worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Oh, we live for you. And holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder and show me who you are, and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. Jesus, the name above every other name. Jesus, the only one who could ever save, worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Oh, we live for you. And
Well, hello, Abundant Life. My name is Bryce, and I'm the Sandy campus pastor. And I want to share a couple stories that are just awesome that I see God working in lives of the people in our church. What does it look like to give ourselves to make the gospel good news? What does it look like to see God working in our lives? Well, I was having a conversation not long ago with a friend of mine. His name is Craig. And we were talking about life, and he said, hey, I want to run something past you. I think I want to get baptized. Well, I didn't know he had never been baptized. And so I said, all right, let's talk about it. And so we did. We sat down, and he was telling me where he was at. So he wanted to get baptized, and I thought, this is a done deal. This is easy. We can do this. He's like, well, hold on a second. There's one more thing. My daughter, Mary, wants to get baptized as well, and I would like to do it. How do I do that? Can I baptize my daughter when I just got baptized or right after? So I had never heard of this happening before, and I was kind of excited about it. So we talked about it, I thought about it, and it reminded me of Matthew chapter 28, where Jesus is talking to his disciples, and he basically tells them, hey, I want you to go out into the world and make disciples of all nations, and then baptize them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. And then teach them all of the stuff that I've taught you. And I felt like this story that we were walking in, this is a dad who wants to baptize his daughter right after he experienced the change, the transformation of baptism himself. And I think that's incredible. And I don't know if you've ever had the chance to baptize somebody that's close to you, but if you ever do, you will know that there is no feeling like that one. And so I did. I got to baptize my friend Craig. And it was awesome. It was emotional. It was excellent. And watching my friend come up out of the water was just something I'll never forget. But then when I saw him lead his daughter Mary into the water and baptize her while he was still dripping wet from his own baptism, I feel like that was the gospel in real time. I just think that's a story that I will remember for my whole life. And I hope that you get to experience a similar story someday for you. Another area that I see God moving is in our student ministry. The very nature of student ministry is there's change happening all the time. In the last 2 years that I've been here, we've had personnel change, we've had program shifts, we are always trying new things. And just kids, they come in and they leave. We get them as 6th graders, we love on them, and then they graduate before we know it, and we send them off to conquer the world. One of the constants in our student ministries since I have been around is Dustin Stuvik, our student pastor. I met Dustin as a student volunteer not long after I started, and Dustin was just the guy that showed up week in and week out. And he became this constant that I could rely on, and I knew that he was gonna be there loving on the kids, no matter what we were trying, no matter what was shifting and changing. And a good thing about Dustin is that he finds something to celebrate no matter what. And that is infectious. It's awesome, it's positive, and he just loves the kids in a great way. One of the things that I thought was so cool is he was able to move from point leader as a volunteer to he got a chance to be an intern, and then toward the end of his schooling, he applied and was hired as our student pastor. I laughed and I celebrated when I saw his post on Instagram where he placed all of his lanyards showing his road, his progress, how his life had kind of gone over the last 2 years. And I knew at that point, hey, we've got the right guy in place. This guy is passionate about what he's doing. He loves the kids, and he's truly giving himself to make the gospel good news for others. Well, I don't know how you look at God. I don't know what you think of him. I don't know if you're able to see him around you. I don't know what you feel when you think about, hey, is God with me? And I will tell you this, at the very end of chapter 28 in Matthew, verse 20, he says, "And surely I am with you always till the very end of the age." So God is with you. And I just ask, look around. What do you see God doing in your life?
great the chasm that lay between us, how high the mountain I could not climb. In desperation, I turned to heaven and spoke your name into the night. Then through the darkness, your loving kindness tore through the shadows of my soul. The work is finished, the end is written. Jesus Christ, my living hope. Who could imagine so great a mercy? What heart could fathom such boundless grace? The God of ages stepped down from glory to wear my sin and bear my shame. The cross is spoken, I am forgiven. The King of Kings calls me his own. Beautiful Savior, I'm yours forever. Jesus Christ, my living hope. And hallelujah, praise the one who set me free. Hallelujah, death has lost its grip on me. You have broken every chain. There's salvation in your name, Jesus Christ, my living hope. Hallelujah, praise the one who set me free. Hallelujah, death has lost its grip on me. You have broken every chain. There's salvation in your name, Jesus Christ, my living hope. Then came the morning that sealed the promise. Your buried body, it began to breathe. Out of the silence, Jesus Messiah, declare the grave has no claim on me. Then came the morning that sealed the promise. Oh, your buried body, it began to breathe. Out of the silence, Jesus Messiah, declare the grave has no claim on me. Jesus, yours is the victory. Hallelujah, praise the one who set me free. Hallelujah, death has lost its grip on me. You have broken every chain. There's salvation in your name, Jesus Christ, my living hope. Hallelujah, praise the one who set me free. Hallelujah, death has lost its grip on me. You have broken every chain. There's salvation in your name, Jesus Christ, my living hope.
What's up, Abundant Life Church? My name is Jesse Morales, and I'm the campus pastor for our Vancouver location. And it's such an honor and a privilege to be able to share with you some ways that we are making the gospel good news for others out in the Vancouver community. The first story I wanted to share with you was about a Sunday morning when we had somebody attend our church for the first time. He came in kind of late and sat in the back, and it was clear that he was having a hard time, and he was visibly upset and emotional. And one of our regular attenders, we'll call him Frank, noticed this guy and took it upon himself to approach him before he left and to introduce himself and to ask him, hey, is there anything I can do to help you? And this guy shared with him his story, and what happened was he came here to the Northwest for a job offer, and to make a long story short, he ended up losing that job, and him and his family were in a severe financial crisis, and he actually sent his wife and his kids back home, and the plan was he was going to take the vehicle that they had and he was going to drive that to be with them and start over. And what happened was the car actually broke down, and he was stranded in a Walmart parking lot for a few days. And he went on to tell Frank that he's been freezing cold, he's hungry, and he didn't even have a cell phone to call back home to let people know what was going on. And Frank, being one of our more handy men at our campus, he's really good at fixing everything. He asked him, hey, is there any way I can go with you to check out your car, and maybe I can get that thing up and running, and that way you can get back to seeing your family. And he was open to it. They went to go check it out. And unfortunately, the car was unrepairable. The repairs that were needed to get the car back going was way more than what the car was worth, so that wasn't going to work. But Frank didn't stop there. He felt compelled to help this guy the best that he could, and so he actually fed him that day and got him temporary cell phones that he can call home and let his family know what was going on. And he actually even put him in a hotel room for the night so he can freshen up and sleep somewhere warm that night. And that same night, he called another attender from our campus, and the two of them put their resources together, and they bought him a Greyhound bus ticket to get back home to see his family. And this is just one of many stories that we have at Abundant Life Church, and in ways that we are giving ourselves to make the gospel good news for others. And the second story I wanted to share with you guys is how this mission statement has impacted me and my family. And for those of you who don't know, I've been here at Abundant Life Church as campus pastor since January. And before that, my wife and I were actually living in Arizona. We had different careers where we were very successful in, and we were living in our dream home. And God was growing us in areas over the last 2 years of what it looks like to get uncomfortable. And we realized at the time that we were actually really comfortable, and we weren't having to depend on God very much in certain areas in our life, and life in our walk was kind of becoming mundane. And so we started to pray about it. And every year around this time, it was 2 years ago, coming up on the new year, we were reflecting on the year that had passed and kind of envisioning and dreaming about the year to come, and we were just asking God, like, could you just show us and help us to grow in areas where you want us to grow into. And this is when we felt that God was calling us into a season where he wanted us to kind of get uncomfortable and build the kingdom instead of focusing so much on our own kingdom. And so my wife and I, we started to take steps towards that. We love to give, and we were very, very generous in that. We felt like we had resources to give, and so that's what we did to our local church. And so we decided to start giving radically, and it's something that we started to do. And shortly after that, we started to realize that it wasn't that, and we still were feeling this nudging that there was something greater that God was calling us into. And I want to give you guys a little bit of some backstory. We actually knew the Jernigans in Arizona. My wife, Sarah, and Jeremy's wife, Michelle, actually worked together for some time, and Michelle actually invited us into their life group, and we were in their life group for a few years, and so we got to know them pretty well. And as we did life together, and we've had conversations with them throughout those years where the Jernigans were letting us know, like, man, you guys have got some gifts and some talents, that you guys can really bring a whole lot to ministry and building the kingdom. And my wife and I, we'd always laugh it off because we were thinking, like, just the idea of walking away from what we had was out of this world, and it was something that we just couldn't even fathom and wrap our minds around. But God was starting to work in us, in this idea of what that looks like. And so we continued to wrestle and pray, and it was a very scary thought thinking of walking away from this stuff. And I mean, everything we've ever known is in Arizona, and and we were extremely comfortable, so it was tough for us to wrestle with this idea. And it was last summer when Jeremy came out with the mission statement. I was in Arizona. I know exactly where I was because it was such an impactful time in my life when he revealed the new mission statement, which is given ourselves to make the gospel good news for others. Is when it hit me, like, this is it. God is actually calling us into ministry. And I sent the podcast over to my wife, and she listened to it, and it was confirmation for her as well that we were going to embark on this adventure to get uncomfortable with Jesus and embrace this opportunity to build the kingdom instead of ours. And a few months went by after that, and the Vancouver campus pastor position actually came available. And to be honest, I was like, no, God, like, this is too soon. Like, I got it. I was thinking we were going to take baby steps into it, but I felt like I was called into this to kind of at least inquire with it. And so I called Jeremy and let him know, like, hey man, Sarah and I are really considering jumping into ministry. We saw that you guys had a position coming available, and I would like to apply for it. And Jeremy was pretty excited, and he was like, dude, this is so cool to hear how God's moving in your life. He was like, but you're gonna have to go through the process, and you're gonna have to apply, and it's gonna be a decision that the exec's gonna have to make. But long story short, I ended up getting the job, and we have been here with you guys since January, like I mentioned, and it's been extremely uncomfortable, every bit of uncomfortable. I mean, just imagine all the logistics that go into uprooting your family and, selling the house and starting over in a place that's across the country. And we've shed a lot of tears over this time, and it's been hard. But what I think I want to encourage you guys today is that it's been also equally amazing at the same time. We have learned to trust in God in ways that we've never had to before, and God has met our needs to an incredible extent. And it's been it's been a wild ride, and I think what I want to say to you guys is that me and Sarah have had revelation, like, this is what it's all about. We have never seen from him as clearly as we are now, and heard from him as clearly as we have been, and we've really truly found what it's like to live for more. And we truly believe that God has created us to live for things that are bigger than ourselves, and to live lives as Christians to point people to Jesus. And as this new year's rolling around, I want to encourage you guys and challenge you guys to do maybe what Sarah and I did 2 years ago when we felt that God was nudging us into something, to pray bold prayers, to ask God, what is it that you're asking us to give ourselves in this new year that's coming around? And I want to leave you with this question, is what is it that God has been laying on your heart to where you can get uncomfortable to make the gospel good news for others? Thanks.
I'll raise a hallelujah in the presence of my enemy. I'll raise a hallelujah louder than the unbelief. I'll raise a hallelujah. My weapon is a melody. I'll raise a hallelujah. When heaven comes to fight for me,
I'm gonna sing in the middle of the storm, louder and louder. You're gonna hear my praises roar. Up from the ashes, hope will arise. Death is
'Cause I raise a hallelujah in the middle of the mystery. 'Cause I raise a hallelujah and feel you lost your hold on me.
I'm gonna sing in the middle of the storm. Louder and louder, you're gonna hear my praises roar. Up from the ashes, hope will arise. Death is defeated, the King is alive.
Sing a little louder.
In the presence of my enemies,
Sing a little louder.
louder than the unbelief.
Sing a little louder.
My weapon is a melody.
We'll sing a little louder.
Heaven comes to fight for me.
We'll sing a little louder.
In the presence of my enemies,
We'll sing a little louder.
louder than the unbelief.
We'll sing a little louder.
My weapon is a melody.
We'll sing a little louder.
Heaven comes to fight for me.
We'll sing a little louder.
In the presence of my enemies,
Sing a little louder.
louder than the unbelief.
Sing a little louder.
My weapon is a melody.
We'll sing a little louder.
Heaven comes to fight for me.
We'll sing a little louder.
I'm gonna sing in the middle of the storm. Louder and louder, you're gonna hear my praises roar. Up from the ashes, hope will arise. Death is defeated, the King is alive. I'm gonna sing in the middle of the storm. Louder and louder, you're gonna hear my praises roar. Up from the ashes, hope will arise. Death is defeated, the King is alive.
I'll raise a hallelujah. I'll raise a hallelujah. I'll raise a hallelujah. I'll raise a hallelujah.
We hope you enjoyed our online service experience and feel encouraged after hearing these amazing stories of how the gospel has been made good news here at ALC. If you would like to give financially to help us make the gospel good news for others before the end of the year, please click on the tab above and you'll be guided on how to do that. Thank you so much for your generosity. None of these stories would be possible without your giving. And lastly, I would love to invite you to join us next week as our lead pastor, Jeremy Jernigan, continues through our John series. Each week, he is showing us more and more of Jesus as he intentionally unpacks the Gospel of John. So next week, we'll see you at either our Happy Valley, Sandy, or Vancouver campus. Have a great week.